Got it. We're live.
Yay.
Um, hey Ryan. Hey Brian. How
Hello.
you guys doing?
Hello.
Fantastic.
Doing
This is
great.
our
How are you?
this is our smallest confab so far. There's only three of us. It feels empty. Feels like
Yeah,
there are
we we
spots waiting.
we've like halved ourselves in the span of a couple days. Shout out to our friends at the Great Beyond who could not make it today, and all of our other co-hosts. RJ, how are you? And Brian, both of you guys, weren't on yesterday. Brian, you missed a couple, but good to have you both back.
I'm fine. Brian, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I was actually dealing with a sick kid at home for most of the weekend, so was able to catch the shows, and my wife was out of town, so I was able to catch the shows. But yeah, kind of busy during the day.
That is so strange because I was dealing with a sick kid while I was at home while my wife was traveling also.
Ah,
It's fun. It's good times.
the life
Yeah,
of a podcast host.
Yeah, you see Brian and I look very rested and happy. Yeah, it's good times. Everyone should rush into having kids as soon as possible. So Ryan, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to talk about the show, obviously. Now that you turned 22 yesterday,
22.
so you're no longer half my age anymore. Now that you're 22, so
That's
I
exciting.
feel I feel younger somehow. Um, Did you did you guys Brian, did you get to watch the show last night?
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Cool. And I missed yesterday, like you said. So Ryan, I guess let's just start. Let's just dive in. What was it like going in there? I mean, obviously Glens Falls is that venue is historic from a fish perspective and
Yeah.
um interesting stops. My wife asked me the other day, she's like, why are they going to all these strange places? I was like, I think it's, they all have something in common, I think, in terms of the size and sort of the draw. But what was it like going to Glens Falls and getting in there?
So it was really interesting, especially after Mohegan on Saturday night, because Glens Falls is half the size of Mohegan. And instead of being, a casino arena, it's, a dingy minor league hockey arena, which is, as we all know, um, minor league hockey arenas are the jam band staple in the Northeast. That's where you go to see Fish, the Dead, etc. And this was exciting for me. I'd never been to Glens Falls, never been to this venue, but I know obviously all about the storied history of it in this community. Halloween '94, so it was just really exciting to experience it. I am a big fan of these GA arenas where you just get like a bowl ticket and then you can kind of go wherever. I think it makes it easier. If you get in line at the right time, it makes it easier generally. If you have a big crew, it makes it easier for you to all sit together. We were able to snag the seats exactly that we wanted to. Shout out to my mom, who's really good at talking to the security guards to make sure that we get in first. Um, in the bowl line, the floor line is separate, but we got Peter's side, phenomenal view of the stage, just as low as you can get. So it was just fantastic seats. It was interesting, last night, despite being half the size of the insanely sold out Mohegan, wasn't sold out. And when the show started, behind the stage was open, but it was pretty much empty for the beginning of the show, and it filled in a little bit. But it was really interesting to me, seeing Glens Falls, which is definitely not an area where either band would have trouble drawing a crowd. That a 4,800 capacity venue, especially one with a history like that, wouldn't have been a hard sellout like Lowell and Mohegan were.
I heard that the lines getting in were pretty insane. Did everything fill up after a while, or did it still? I mean, it obviously felt less crowded than Mohegan. It sounds like, but did it start to fill in?
Yeah, I think the behind the stage being pretty empty was also because of the fact that the whole thing was GA, so nobody's going behind the stage unless they can't find seats elsewhere generally. So I would say the venue was 70% full when Goose went on, and then by the time we were like 30-40 minutes into Goose's set, behind the stage, it started to fill in a good amount.
Brian, what tell us about the kind of the set as it unfolded, and also it's just before you do, I've been I've been learning about lgoose.net over the past, however many years, couple years, but now I can look at goose sets on Fishnet for this tour. So
It's
yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty weird to see goose sets on Fishnet. But Brian, tell us about this, like the first opening of this set, and what your impressions were from the start.
Yeah. And let me say, RJ, I've been DMing a lot with Biz Archive Scott over the last week or so. So that's been fun.
Yeah. You guys are collaborators.
Set list thread buddies.
For sure. Yeah. So ready opener. I actually was thinking Slow Ready was on the way. But we got the So opener. And I'll kind of break this set really into I guess maybe almost three different parts, right? Mm-hmm. So to start off, we had the So California Magic, this new song Thatch, and then the Don't Do It cover. And so and then I guess my part two, which we'll get to, is the huge Madhavan, and then the part three is obviously the Trey bit. But so that part one, those first four songs, I kind of thought, and we talked about this last time I was on, but I really liked Turbulence as the opener. Obviously, Drive's a great opener. So Ready is I always kind of end up with mixed feelings about So Ready. I mean, it's a fiery jam. Mm-hmm. And it might just be one of those things where I've just a song you've heard a lot that's always kind of been middle of the road for you.
Team Slow.
And I am Team Slow.
Same.
And then so anyway, but decent opener. I mean, huge solos by both Peter and Rick as always. And then the California Magic, which is one of the new songs that I really like. You get into these arena shows though, and you can tell they've been, hand picking what they want to play really throughout these sets, right? And so there's a lot of stuff that we normally would see in four shows that I don't think we're going to see in this whole tour, and California Magic, I think, is probably, right on that boundary, but I love it. I was happy to see it for sure. And then we got this.
It's all about the singing, It's like all about it's just like those songs, like just that's how I feel about Turbulence. Like it's just Rick's singing and the cohesive playing of the band. Like they're good songs, But it's more about the
Matt Campbell effect, the Matt Campbell songwriting partnership, which incredible. I saw Matt last night. I didn't have a chance to say hi to him, but he was there. So.
Nice.
But I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on this new song Thatch.
Yeah.
I thought I made a comment to Ryan and Neil this morning. At the very, very beginning, it sounds real Kimaki to me. Mm. And the nice little jam. I mean, they made the comment that it was 2 days old. So one thing that tells us for sure is that this song will likely change and be enhanced or augmented in some way. But but for a first time play, and I listened back this morning, I mean it's a nice song, and Neil made the comment too that I very much agree with, that it feels like something that could easily be a vehicle to go
100%.
Bigger places. So
also really cool to Rick said that the song was only 2 days old and it sounds that cohesive and really, really fits the band's sound. I really enjoyed it. Seemed like it went over great, with the crowd as well. We had a couple of guys next to us who said they'd, been to like 280 Fish shows, the first time seeing Goose, and they had a great time last night. They loved the set, which was awesome. As you mentioned with So Ready, the thing is, it's a great opener, but yeah, it's what you're going to get for 12 minutes. There's not really that feeling of unpredictability or like, is there going to be a big jam on this? And yeah, it does seem to, maybe blend together after a while, like all the different versions, which is why I am also a proud member of Team Slow. But, seemed to really, really be great in the room last night. Again, that's a song that fits in an arena very, very well. And your point about Cali maybe not being as good for that arena setting, they definitely have to adjust the way they play that, I think, for sure. They've been playing it in a lot of smaller venues where a slower song like that doesn't really get swallowed up by the crowd. And it felt like, as much as I love Cali Magic and I was so happy to see it last night, a little bit of the effect of the song may have been lost in the bigger venue. And I found that has not been happening, very much at all with Goose Tunes on this tour. As we've discussed on pretty much all these episodes, their catalog is so good in the arena setting for, 95% of the time. And I think there is a place for Cali in the arena setting. They may have to approach it a little bit differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And I didn't notice like on the listening back. So I think if you're there, it's totally a different feeling. And on that note, we're going to add Joey, who was there.
Hi.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Hey.
You made
Sorry,
it.
sorry I'm late.
All good. Could you hear us? Could you hear that part of the discussion?
Oh yeah, I was listening to a
What-
good portion of it.
What's your what do you think about, well, I guess about the California Magic, just, and kind of adjusting it, but also that new song?
So California Magic, honestly, when they first started playing it, I thought it was Gun Street Girl for a second, which would have really taken me back. But yeah, I mean, as soon as the lyrics start going, you can tell what it is. Yeah, California Magic. I don't know. It's a standard song. I like what Ryan was saying of turning it into an arena rock song. Like the chorus itself is pretty, pretty sing-alongable. So I think a good amount of the crowd, at least if you're, familiar with Goose, could sing along to it. But I would imagine playing it on the West Coast must be something totally different. Like West Coast Pride comes out and just belts that chorus. But yeah, I liked it. So Ready. I was stuck on security line for a little bit, so I came in about 2 or 3 minutes into So Ready, which was perfect. Made it for the jam. It was great opening song to get the people going. And then what was the second song again? Sorry, guys.
The second song was Cali. And then Thatch.
Oh yeah, the new song. Anything that features Peter on clav for a majority of the song, I'm on board. It's just funky, it's danceable. Yep. That song's gonna go places for sure. I hope they play it again before the tour's out.
100%. Yeah, you guys, RJ and Brian, you guys talked about Thatch a little bit, but yeah, I just want to say it felt really good, and everybody knows how much I love clav, and so. Another clav. Yes, Brian, birthday clav. It was very, very exciting to hear. I look forward to seeing this song develop because it absolutely will get jammed out in the future. And yeah, Joey, I agree. I really hope it makes another appearance later in the tour.
I didn't check the soundboards.
What'd you say? Sorry.
How long was the song?
10 or so minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Nice.
Joey, by the way, I saw you when I watched the Saturday night stream on Sunday morning. Saw you on the rail as promised. It was great. It looks like you guys were having a blast up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we were going nuts. We almost tore the rail apart during Push Until the Day. We almost ripped it up from the ground, man. It was so much fun. Trey was just giving off so much energy. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ryan, where do you put Don't Do It in terms of Goose covers?
It's up there. I love this cover. They're so good at covering the band, even though this technically isn't a band song. They're covering the band version. Obviously, like a lot of people, as much as I absolutely adore Don't Do It and Madhavan, I was a little bit sad to see them both get played without horns and Trey respectively. But both versions killed. Rare to see a mid-set Don't Do It as well. It usually comes in the set closer encore slot. But it's a great tune. So it worked really well. And, the band is a very upstate New York band. So it fit the vibe of where we were. And everybody in the crowd loved it.
Brian, what about you? Are you on Don't Do It?
I'm not quite as pro Don't Do It. I'll take 3 or 4 I guess for band covers, I guess I'd have it number 3, right, between Walcott
after
Walcott and Cleveland. But and then Rockdale, that's a band song too, right?
Such a great band song.
Yeah. So, and like Ryan said, yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising to see that pop up where it did. And yeah, so I think at this point in the set, I was maybe starting to get a little bit antsy for them to maybe step it up a notch in my mind.
And they
so
They did.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
What happened then, Ryan?
And then what was really cool in this Modavon to me is normally, when Peter starts throwing out these aggressive synth noises, it's from the Prophet or over the summer, from his Moog Matriarch, which these two synths have come into the rig relatively recently and have been used for these wilder sounds where the Nord lead, which is the one behind him on top of the Vintage Vibe that's been in his rig forever, he's used mostly for like softer, like the swells and stuff like that. And last night, these really crazy aggressive synth noises were coming out of the Nord lead, which was really cool to me. Peter also has such a huge smile on his face whenever he makes weird synth noises. And from where I was, I had a perfect view of him, like his just look of glee. And yeah, that dissonant jam in Modavon was incredible last night. Peter just dropped the soundboards a little while ago. So once we get back on the road after we do this recap, I'm going to put on that Modavon, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, got out there. Joey, where did you end up? Were you on the floor, or where were you watching this from?
So yeah, because the security line was so long, by the time I got in, I was expecting it to be crowded and have to fight my way through the floor, but it was maybe half full by the start of the show. So I ended up going across the floor to Trevor's side, and there were a bunch of spinners over there. So I knew, all right, that's probably there's going to be the most space. So I hung out with them and just danced as hard as I could to keep my space that I had. And then it really paid off for that Modavon. Just the whole crowd was moving, at least around me. Trevor's side was rocking the whole time. And then, so they kind of brought it back down. Everyone kind of stopped. People started filtering a little bit more. And then really in that jam, Ben was like leading it for me. I was just keying in on him the whole time. And like, it was very yes ands, that improv of like somebody made a change. Everyone else was right on top of it. Everyone else building on top of it. So yeah, MVP of the night for me was Ben because of that Modavon jam.
Yeah, got out there. And so, all right, Brian, do you want to take us through the tray sit-in?
Yeah. And just real quick on the Modavon. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the most, spacey, Goose has gotten on this tour. That was the first time they really kind of took it down like that. So which was really cool. And then it almost sounded like a Shamma jam when they brought it, when they kind of got it going blissy a little bit in that Modavon as well. So and we kind of hear that pop up in jams from time to time with Goose. So
Cleveland Dripfields, especially.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, and it's generally they do that in really good versions of stuff. So really solid Modavon. Also the longest jam that they've done, without Trey.
Yeah.
And so then, we got the big red bird.
The big red bird.
That I think a lot of people were expecting that was going to be something that Trey was going to sit in on. Now, what I wasn't expecting was Trey to take a turn on the lyrics.
Yeah.
Which is just so cool. And on this song in particular, because of the nature of the song and how personal it is for Peter, I couldn't help but immediately go to Bobby singing "Miss You." Kind of just made me think of that. Made me think of that right away.
Oh yeah.
Just having your great guest come out and then taking a turn on something that's so personal for you, and you could see it on Peter's face. I mean, what an awesome moment for him to have written that song, and it's not that old of a song either, to be honest, and to be standing there, playing along and watching Trey, sing these personal words. Yeah. I mean, that's really amazing stuff. It makes me really, really happy for Peter. But so yeah, and
very
then
happy.
Yeah, and then another really nice Trey Rick jam. Some of these, it's probably unavoidable, but some parts of these jams do kind of start to sound, a little similar. I think I really started to think that last night. But I will say the peak that they took Redbird to was huge, and it was very cool. So yeah, killer ending to Redbird, and yeah, really fun, awesome version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did want to
yeah,
send
go
this
ahead,
in the
Ryan.
chat because I wanted everybody to be able to see the spelling of this, and I thought of this during the show last night, and I chuckled, and so I hope somebody else gets a chuckle out of this. Straight burden. But yeah, the
Yeah,
Redbird was
check
great.
out Storm Sound's merch site for that. It's going to be all, you'll probably be able to get mugs, shopping bags.
Of course, we got it all.
All kinds of merch. I will say,
yeah.
Ryan, just real quick, you guys, if you watched the webcast, you saw Peter was wearing a Glens Falls Redbirds jacket. They were a minor league baseball team that played the 1993 season in Glens Falls, and only for that year. And now they play in State College, Pennsylvania, which makes no sense.
Brian, did you not dig up that piece of trivia to influence your fantasy picks? I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, that's a miss.
That seems like something you would have been all over.
I do try to think of, the venue name, the town, the state, bird, but just we didn't get that one last night. RJ, you got to clue me in on that ahead of time, bro.
I know. Next, I will. I need to participate in these fantasy things. Do you guys and the mayor of Glens Falls declared it TABoose Day?
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah,
Which is
that
ridiculous.
was great.
So I guess that name is not going away. I was kind of hoping that name would go away, but it's not now. Now that it's been declared as a name of a day,
TABoose.
It's too much. It's too much for me. But I'm gonna just let everyone else keep it.
Are you a truth person?
I think Tab and Goose. I don't know. I mean, I don't need to combine them. But that's my own issue. Joey, what the sit-in with Trey, the Redbird hot tea? What was your take on that? And sorry, Ryan, if you were going to say something, please jump
Joey
back.
can go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, where there were moments where it sounded a little repetitive. Maybe they weren't locked in, but they found themselves back to those. All right, let's harmonize these licks and like get back to center. And then, that hot tea. I mean, it was just grooving. The whole place went nuts as soon as everyone started to hear those words. That phrase. Yeah. And then, that's the one that people have been waiting for. And it's surprising that, I think, like we were talking yesterday, it took this long to pull out a hot tea. And I think a lot of us were hoping for some horns, sit-ins on that. But it was just a fun way to end the set. And you could tell, I want to say it was the end of Redbird. I think they cut it a little short. Usually they go back into that phrase to end it. But I was watching the clock. There's a clock like above one of the sections, just watching on the whole time. And it seems like, all right, we got hot tea in the back pocket. We got to just close this down suddenly and then go right into it. Which, I mean, it sounded like sorry, the sun's right in my eyes. It sounded like a good enough ending. I think.
Oop.
Uh-oh.
Well, where someone. Uh-oh. Am I back?
You're back now. Slightly.
All right, I'm
back.
going through the mountains. So
yeah.
Well, I was going to say about the Redbird. It felt to me, while there are some themes that are starting to crop up a little bit more. Those guitar harmonizations, guitar harmony, if you will.
Buffalo.
Oh. The Redbird felt to me a little bit more improvisational than some of the other jams we've been getting the last few nights. Obviously, Portland, All I Need excluded, but it felt like they're hinting at that expanded territory again. And so I'm hoping, we're 4 shows in, we've got 4 left. I'm hoping they start approaching some of these sit-in jams a little bit more like the Portland All I Need. We get more of these type 2 really long extended pieces of improvisation, because we've been treated to so many amazing 2 guitar jams so far, and they've been so good. But I'm really looking for that, what we saw that first time that Trey took the stage with them on Wednesday, where he was like, okay, we're jamming. We're not just gonna, be guitarists and have fun, because I feel like that has now become, what the expectation is for the Tab set sit-in. right? Like they're gonna, do some fretboard fireworks, if you will. So, I'm really hoping we get more of that long form improvisation that they're hinting at. But yeah, this Redbird was great. Hot tea was fun. Obviously you can tell that Trey's really enjoying himself. And I'll touch on this again later when we talk about the Goose sit-ins with Tab. But I cannot tell at this point whether Rick or Trey is having more fun playing guitar with each other.
Yeah, they at the end of the jam when they come back to the same riff, which happens like in every jam, it just feels like they're both like really proud of themselves and each other because it's really great. And I do think I don't know if we talked about this on Saturday, but you can tell Trey's kind of run. He's still in charge, like but only using his eyes. Like he's just like kind of like will look up at Rick and then Rick's like, okay, time to do whatever Trey says. Like it's sort of interesting because he's such a veteran, you know what I mean? Like he has such presence that it's really interesting to watch. But it looks like they're having a lot of fun. It's great. I was gonna ask, you've been to all these shows. I was gonna ask if it's getting like repetitive or if it feels repetitive just based on the format. But they're all different enough. Like I wish I had seen all 4 of those shows.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen. I think there was a handful of songs that Tab has repeated across the 4 shows. Nothing more than twice. But I've seen TABoose 4 times. Like I would very much enjoy seeing the other 4 of the show, and I'm very happy that I get to do one more on Friday. But it's going to be weird being on the couch tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. I looked today. It's 5 hours for me. My wife comes home tonight, and I was like, I could leave in the morning and drive 5 hours each way is too old. Unless you think I'm not too old, Ryan.
You're not too old, RJ. You're definitely not too old.
All right, I'll think about it. Brian, am I too old?
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, great. Okay, it's back on the table.
You're younger than him, so.
What did you think of the tab set, Ryan, compared to the others? Like how do you feel like these tab sets are flowing relative to each other, and like how did last night's land?
I would say Mohegan is still my favorite of the 4 tab sets, but Tab seems to be getting more confident on stage with each night. It felt in Portland following Goose, Tab felt maybe a little bit lackluster, but it's felt like every night they're gaining in confidence, even though venues of this size aren't really that new for Tab, it felt like they had a little bit of an adjustment at the beginning of this tour. But they've been getting really, really good. Some of the songs last night as well, like Wave of Hope was phenomenal. Burlap Sack and Pumps, James's baritone sax solo. Oh my God, that was nuts. Spin was much like About to Run was at Mohegan, where it's just like, you've got that groove. It's an amazing groove, and Trey's just ripping over top of it. But yeah, the set last night was really, really, really awesome.
Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, I would agree on the Mohegan, kind of being my favorite as well. But yeah, last night they played a lot of songs that I like, a lot, you know what I mean, a lot of Tab songs that I just personally like. And yeah, and I mean, not much for me to comment on in terms of the jamming. And to be fair, most of these nights, I'm so hyper focused during Goose shows. I'm trying to do a bunch of different things, and I'm just so hyper focused that what I've noticed is that for these Tab sets, I'm kind of like decompressing a little bit. And not to mention just the other stuff I've had going on around me. So I haven't paid incredibly close attention. But what I will say, and when I do, when I do start paying attention, and that Mr. Completely was out of this world.
Man.
That's I don't think it's a question that that's the best, Goose sitting in with Tab. Jam that we've had. But yeah, I mean, it's probably right behind All I Need, just for, across the 2 of all the collabs we've seen. It was just so good. And I mean, Rick and Trey were just going at it on this. I mean, just incredible stuff. I really want to go back and listen to that. I don't have the live fish subscription at the moment, so I don't know, I might have to.
You can borrow
I might
mine.
have to spend some money. Yeah.
You can borrow mine. It's okay.
Huh.
Don't tell anyone. This is just us talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching.
Ryan, I want to ask you, just as a musician, I don't know what like mode Trey's playing in on Mr. Completely, but it felt like it took them a little bit to get aligned. Like Trey kind of changed the way he was playing a little bit, that the way that he normally plays that song.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were just in like a different key or a different like way of playing it, but then they sort of both adjusted a little bit and then it got locked in, but I don't really know what was happening, but it felt to me like there was like a little bit of an adjustment period. I'm not sure if that.
Yeah. So
came
the
across.
song is approached different ways with Fish and with Tab. Like Fish, you know, obviously they finish the song, they stick to the key and they jam it out. With Tab, they generally, you know, they play around in the key a bit. Trey will do some vamping, and then they'll do some modulations like they do for like solos with the horns or keys or whatever. And so last night was cool because instead of, you know, just a short vamp and then modulate into a horn solo, we had Trey and Rick going at it for like a minute or so before that happened. And then we got, you know, they passed it off to a keyboard solo, and it was so cool. I don't know how visible it was on the webcast, but, you know, Peter's taking this piano solo, and he kind of like, you know, makes a motion over to Ray to take something, and Ray's just like, no, like, keep going. They were just egging each other on, and it was
That was really cool.
Such a joy.
That was great to watch on the webcast because they had the camera up close on Ray and Peter. That was one of my notes, like watching
That's
Ray
awesome.
like being like, keep going, keep going, which is
and
really
egging
cool.
him on like on the organ as well, like playing off of what he was doing on piano was amazing. And then afterwards, another moment where I couldn't tell whether Trey or Rick was having more fun when Trey cued the rest of the band to drop out so he and Rick could just, you know, trade licks for a minute. And not to mention, obviously, the horns killing it in their solos as well. Just an incredible performance.
So yeah, so I wanted to mention that as well regarding you know, Ray and Peter. And so I mean, look, this must be a challenge, I think, in some respects for Peter. And he's doing a phenomenal job, by the way. But for him to be standing there next to Ray, I mean, that's got to be intimidating. I mean, you know, for as well as Peter is doing, and for as great of a, you know, piano and keyboard player that he's developed into in such a short time, it's still, you know, not
Ray Paczkowski.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Peter.
No, I'm saying like it's him, like as great as he is, he's still next to Ray Paczkowski.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. So
and not on his own, not as his own gear, and
right.
Yeah. So yeah, you could tell last night that was the most evident, that he was like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing over here, but I'm not gonna do too much, and I'm not, you know what I mean? I got to hand it back to the man.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, Ray wasn't having it last night. I mean, Ray was, if you're looking at this from a complete outsider's perspective, I mean, it almost looked a little bit like Ray was, you know, annoyed or something. You know what I mean? That he's like, go, man, go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. And it's cool that, like, you know, whatever happens after this tour, it's not just the fact that Trey and, you know, Peter and Rick like become pals and go on vacation together or whatever. Like, all these musicians are going to get to know each other better. And, you know, Ray and Russ play in their duo in Burlington. And, you know, like, there's so many musical collaborations that I think can come out of this tour, which is really cool. So I have a couple wishes for Fairfax and Reading. I'm not like a wish kind of person, but I have a couple, but I'm not going to say what they are. But when are we getting Hunger Sight and Born? Is it just a matter of time?
I saw something in the chat that mentioned that tomorrow is Grammy nomination announcement day. So that could, you know, result in a Hunger Sight. You know, very, very, very hopeful that we get the Grammy nomination, you know, for one of the categories that Goose submitted for. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I'm thinking we would get the two of them as a pair, as the Trey collaboration for the night. You know, I think it would be really amazing to get the horns in on Born, you know, have them at least singing backup. I think they would really lend an amazing element to that tune. And then, you know, Trey ripping Hunger Sight as he did at Radio City. But I'm thinking that's coming in the next couple of shows.
So my 4 remaining predictions for Trey sit-ins are Hunger Sight. You know, I think we all have that one. Rosewood, Empress, and Creatures. And some of that's just by looking at, you know, what they've played already and kind of what's still on the table and things like that. So
what about this old C?
I mean, I don't see that as a collaboration tool.
I just think back to the Dawes like sit in at the Fred Fest, where it just became like this long dead jam, which was like so awesome. But it's a little more, it's less of a shreddy thing.
But I mean, Redbird isn't exactly, you know, a barn bird out of the gate either. So yeah, so I mean, no, that's I mean, I would love it. I would love that, RJ. I mean, that would be amazing.
What do you think, Ryan?
No, I agree on the hunger site for sure. I hadn't really thought of Rosewood for some reason yet. But yeah, that would be amazing. I'm gonna say that I'm thinking that Goose may go for the no repeats. I know we're only 4 shows in, but the fact that they haven't, you know, any, and there's still a lot of staples on the table, I think looking at what's still available, they could go 4 more sets, you know, because it's only 1 set. They could go 4 more sets without repeating a song. But you know, we'll see what happens.
It's going to ruin one of my requests.
I know. Do you want All I Need again?
I just want Rockdale.
That's fair.
I fucking love Rockdale. It's so fun. It's like it's just so fun.
I'll be surprised personally if they do this without repeating anything.
Mm-hmm. It would be impressive for sure.
I do think C would work really, really well with Trey, especially, you know, what they do with it improvisationally. I don't know, you know, they've seemed to be shying away from a lot of the slower songs. You know, they've been going straight bangers for the most part. So, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, we got 4 shows left, but I'm excited. You know, no pod tomorrow, unfortunately, after 3 in a row, but we'll be back Wednesday at 3.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I get to see a Thursday and Saturday show. And you'll see Friday, Ryan. So we'll have the rest of them covered. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up because Ryan needs to get back on the road, back to the motherland. So
I'm already back in the motherland.
Okay. All right. Good. You look more relaxed already.
Yes.
Brian and Ryan, thank you guys. And thanks everybody for tuning in. This is amazing and so much fun. And I think we'll keep doing it even after this tour because we got to keep it going somehow.
Oh yeah.
It's just a prediction.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
It's super fun. All right. Thanks everybody. We'll see y'all soon.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys.